Hello, it's Tim here from Coffee Time, and in this tutorial we're going to be looking at how setting up a product directly affects the Coffee Time app. So we're going to look at a cappuccino to start off with. Over here on the right hand side, first of all, I've set up these two items, takeaway and have here. Takeaway has been made default, and this has been set up so that the user is required to select one or the other. Over here on the left hand side I've called it where. This is kind of short for where to eat, and I've made it a multiple choice option so that I was able to give it these two options here. Over on the right hand side I've mocked up an iPhone so you can see what that is going to end up looking like. So takeaway and have here both appear here as buttons. Takeaway we've set as default, so you can see that the takeaway button is already selected and the option is required, and so a user must select either takeaway or have here. They don't have the option to unselect one or the other. Secondly, I've got size, which I've also set up as a multiple choice item. And over here on the right hand side I've said it is required that a user selects a size, and I have 4 sizes and I have listed the large one as default. Also I have ticked this box here which is called display name, whereas I hadn't ticked that for the first one for where. And what that does is it displays this name size. So as you can see the word size appears, whereas over here the word where does not appear over here because I didn't think that was necessary for this one. It's pretty self-explanatory. But for the others I've chosen to display the names, as you can see. The other interesting thing about size is we have 4 options, and what happens on the app is when you have 4 options there's not really enough room to fit 4 options on a row. So what we do is we expand it to a new screen, which I'll show you just by turning on the size layer. So there we go. So as you can see, the list could get as long as you like, and that's how it displays for 4 or more items. Large has been made the default, so that one's already selected, and because this is a required item, a user must make a selection. They cannot unselect large. So I'll just turn that layer back off. And next on the list we have milk. Milk, we made a multiple choice, required that the user must select regular, trim or soy, and we set regular as default. So over here on the right hand side we've got milk, regular, trim and soy, and regular is default. Next we've got dusting. That's been set up as a multiple choice, and this one here is optional for a customer to select. So they're not required to select chocolate or cinnamon, but I have made chocolate default. So over here on the right hand side you'll see that chocolate is already selected, but the user can actually tap this button again and it will turn it off, so they don't have to choose a dusting if they don't want to. Next on the list we have the sugar type. So at this store they have 3 different types of sugars: a sweetener, a raw sugar and a white sugar. And of course not everyone wants a sugar in their coffee, so we've made this an optional item. And this time I haven't made any default. So on the right hand side you can see we've got the sugar type. None is selected at the moment, but if a user did want to have a sugar then they could just tap whichever one they want, and if they change their mind they could tap it again to unselect it because it's just an optional variation. Then we've got a sugar with a quantity picker. Now that quantity picker ends up by looking like this little graphic here, so that lets a user select from 0 up to whatever. So they might have 1, 2 or 3, for example, sugars, so they could just tap this plus or minus button. And I've also got the option to enter in a price, so if I made that 50 cents and I pressed this plus icon, then it would add 50 cents to the total price, and then $1 if I changed it from 1 to 2. extra shot has been set up with a price of 60 cents, and it's been set up with this yes/no switch. That yes and no switch looks like this over here. So currently it's off. They're always off by default, and if a user switches that on, then that 60 cents will be added to the total. And that's it. That's what our cappuccino looks like, and I hope this has helped.